Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody in finance will say out loud. Most of what you've been told is an investment isn't one. Think about this for a second. Rome's citizens believed silver was safety. Spain's merchants believed gold was wealth. Germany's middle class believed government bonds were permanent. They were all wrong. And today, millions of people believe in a new set of financial promises that carry the exact same flaw. Not because they're stupid, but because the system was designed to make those promises sound reasonable. Welcome to the financial system. Control the money, control the history. And remember, simple is never easy.
Here's the pattern history keeps showing us. Every generation, without exception, has been handed a set of culturally approved wealth-building habits that quietly transferred money upward while leaving ordinary people feeling productive, responsible, and broke. The peasant who paid tithes to a temple that never forgave his debt. The Spanish laborer who watched silver flood Seville yet couldn't afford bread. The German saver who poured life savings into war bonds that became worthless paper. The mechanism changes, the result doesn't. Today's version is more sophisticated. It's dressed in apps, branding, and social proof, but underneath, it runs on the same logic. Your participation funds someone else's wealth. So, let's name them, clearly, one by one. By the end of this, you will understand exactly which financial behaviors are silently draining you, and more importantly, why the system needs you to keep doing them. This isn't about panic, it's about pattern recognition. Because once you see the architecture, the trap stops working. Number 1. Savings accounts as wealth-building tools. Here's something that should disturb you. A savings account paying 0.5% interest while inflation runs at 3 to 4% is not saving. It is a slow-motion loss disguised as safety. Rome debased its silver coins over centuries. Modern central banks do it with interest rate policy over decades. The mechanism is quieter. The result is identical. Your savings account is not a vault. It's a loan to the bank, paying you less than the cost of holding it. Number 2, buying lottery tickets as financial strategy. Entire lower-income communities spend a disproportionate share of disposable income on lottery tickets. Studies consistently show this. Economists call it a voluntary tax on the poor. It functions exactly like the Roman game of chance-based relief, a false exit door designed to absorb surplus desperation without changing the underlying structure. The math is not hidden. The house extracts 40 to 50 cents on every dollar. And yet, the story of the winner is always more powerful than the statistics of the million losers. That's not an accident, it's engineering. Number 3, expensive higher education with no market demand. This one is uncomfortable because it runs against deeply held cultural belief. But here's the financial reality. A $150,000 degree in a field with declining earnings is not an investment. It is debt with a prestigious wrapper. The Medici didn't lend to kings for their honor. They lent because it was profitable. Modern student loan institutions operate on the same logic. Your belief in the credential is the product. Not all education is this. Specific skills with demonstrated income trajectories are different. But the blanket idea that any degree at any price is automatically an investment, that is a cultural story that primarily benefits lenders. Number 4, multi-level marketing as a business model. History has always had a version of this. Pyramid schemes dressed as opportunity. The mechanics are ancient. Extract from the base, reward the apex, repeat until collapse. The difference today is language. Today, it's called building your network, passive income, or being your own boss. The math, again, is not hidden. The majority of participants lose money. The minority who profit are usually those who joined earliest. This is structurally identical to the financial traps that kept Rome's lower classes trapped. Systems that looked like mobility, but functioned as extraction. Number 5. Leasing luxury goods as status signaling. This one requires some historical perspective. In 16th century Spain, silver flowed through Seville, and the response of ordinary citizens was to spend it on imports, on display, on the outward appearance of wealth. The economists call what followed the price revolution. The population felt richer. They were becoming poorer. Today, leasing a car you cannot afford to own, upgrading smartphones annually, carrying credit card balances to maintain appearances, these are the modern version of the same trap. The belief that looking wealthy and being wealthy are the same thing. They are not, and the system profits heavily from the confusion. Number 6. Crypto speculation without underlying understanding. Note, this is not about crypto as a technology. This is about behavior.
When ordinary people pour money into an asset they don't understand, driven by fear of missing out during a period of peak media coverage, that is historically one of the most reliable signals of a speculative peak, not a buying opportunity. The Dutch tulip mania of 1637, the South Sea bubble of 1720, the dot-com crash of 2000. The mechanism is not new. What changes is the asset. What doesn't change is the pattern. Late retail participants absorb the losses that early institutional participants exit with. If you don't understand what you don't own an investment. You own exposure to someone else's exit strategy. Number 7. Timeshares. The genius of the timeshare industry is that it sells you the feeling of ownership while retaining almost all the financial benefits of actual ownership on their side. You pay for the right to use something. You bear the maintenance costs. You cannot easily sell your share, and yet the purchase feels like an asset. This is the structure of every feudal land arrangement in medieval history. The serf felt attached to the land. The lord owned it. The payments flowed upward. The terminology was different. The architecture was identical. Number 8. Buying new cars as financial decisions. A new car loses a significant portion of its value the moment it leaves the lot. It continues depreciating. It cannot generate income. It requires insurance, maintenance, and fuel. This is consumption, not investment. The confusion between the two is one of the most expensive mistakes the middle class makes, repeatedly on a 3 to 5 year cycle financed at interest. Number 9. Penny stocks and hot tips. Information asymmetry is as old as markets. Today, pump and dump schemes operate in every cycle. The promoters hold positions, the story circulates, late buyers absorb the exit. The only thing that has changed is the speed. Number 10. Whole life insurance as an investment vehicle. This one is specifically engineered to confuse. The product blends insurance, which is protection, with investment, which is growth, and charges fees that would be unacceptable in either category alone. The financial services industry profits from complexity. Always has. The more layers between you and understanding where your money goes, the more safely the extraction proceeds. When something is too complicated to explain clearly, ask who benefits from that complexity. Number 11. Expensive financial advisors on commission. Here's a structural truth. An advisor paid by commission does not have a legal obligation to recommend what's best for you. They have an obligation to recommend something suitable. The Romans had tax farmers, private contractors who collected taxes and kept what they could above the quota. Commission-based financial sales follow the same incentive structure. The product sold is not necessarily the best option. It is the most profitable option to sell. These are not the same thing. Number 12. Doing nothing. Calling it waiting for the right time. The most insidious fake investment of all. History shows that the people who survived financial collapses, the Black Death, the post-Civil War South, post-2008 America, were those who acted during the period of maximum uncertainty. Waiting for certainty is a strategy that consistently produces late entry at high prices. The right time is a story the hesitant tell themselves while the prepared position. Inaction has a cost. It is just invisible, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. Here's what ties all 12 together. Every one of these traps works because it mimics the feeling of financial progress without the function of it. Rome's citizens felt the weight of silver coins. Spain felt the flow of treasure. Germany felt the patriotic pride of war bonds. The feeling was real, the wealth was not. The financial system does not need you to be foolish. It only needs you to be busy, distracted, and trusting in the wrong things. Once you separate the feeling of financial activity from the reality of wealth accumulation, the map changes entirely. The history of money is not the history of people making bad decisions. It's the history of systems designed to make certain decisions feel correct, until they don't. The survivors were never the most trusting. They were the most clear-eyed. History doesn't repeat, but the patterns are always there for those willing to look. Next, we go deeper into the one financial principle that quietly protected wealth through every collapse in the last 500 years. Empires fell. This logic survived. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. It's financial system, and history leaves clues. I show you where the money leads.